about to be live. Ready, set. We're live. Hi, everyone. Hello. Paul's just jumped on just as I've hit the live button. We're actually live now on the internet. So just letting you warn yourself there. I don't know if Darren's coming. I thought he was.
I'm going to be in a second. 2 seconds.
Yeah, mate. This is the pre-show if anyone's just joined us. And my Mac just crashed. My old 2012 Mac. So it's not like, what? How can it do that? It's old. So I've got to get everything back up and running again now. Restore pages, yes, do that. Add that back on, yeah. All right, how's everyone going? Welcome to the stream. It's a pre-show. We're going to muck around with settings and mics and a bit of banter before we start the real show.
Yeah, cool. All the gang's in.
Hello.
Hello.
Good. Hello. Now let's make sure my Mac doesn't crash again. It's struggling. Don't crash, Mac. Okay, that sounds good. Right, that's fixed. Good. Hello to everyone who's in the chat. We've got a few people here, and I was under the impression that Darren's coming on, but he's maybe not. I don't know. We'll just have a blank space there. Advertise your site here. Did I check the Facebook page for today's show? No, I haven't been able to, mate. Sorry, Mr. Mac. I've been busy with lots of things. I won't even go what they are. Where do I check? Facebook page. What Facebook page? My Facebook page? I'm checking my Facebook page.
Synth and streaming geekery.
2 comments. Okay. Let's go to Synth and streaming geekery. Makes a fantastic show.
You checking your Facebook? Yeah, it's riveting, this runs.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You can see what I'm doing. I can't see anything on there. Just a guy with a little dragon thumbs up.
It's funny, last week when I was...
I don't know what that's about.
When I was messaging. Ramsey, sorry about that last week when he was saying I'm getting messages coming through and it was me.
Yeah, that's fine, mate. I worked that out. I'm like, who the hell's messaging
me? Do you have a different screen name in the chat, Dean? If you're in the chat.
Yeah, it's just Dean Bridges, I think, and it's me running.
Yeah.
Well, when I was running, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it in here too much at the moment.
And
every time I click on that image, Mr. Mac, it comes up with an error and it says the page isn't available right now. It might be a technical issue with Facebook. Please try again later. So I don't know.
Facebook gremlins.
Yeah, not sure what you want me to do there.
You've been sucked.
Maybe I can check later. I did, yeah. I did. But nobody replied to it until what? Let me just try again. I can see it's definitely 2 comments on here, and I can see yours, but every time I click on it, it comes up with an error. Can you email it to me? I can see it. It's your sister's amazing studio hack. I've got it, but I can't click on it. It just won't let me click on it. So that's just for Mr. Mac. Anyway, we need to move on. Right. Okay. What are we at? 10 minutes before the show starts. Yeah, we've got it. I don't think Darren's coming. Didn't hear from him.
To him.
Yeah. We're all set up for him. But anyway, we can live without him. We can't do 5, but we can do 6 and we can do 4. It's just a weird number, 5. So we'll just have to have a black screen. Why don't we change it so that it's not up the top? Oh, I don't know if I could be bothered. Move Darren. I don't know if I can be bothered doing this. Put that there.
Yeah, that's better already.
And then put Darren, because he's not here, there. There you go. Better? Kind of makes more logical sense now, doesn't it?
Yeah, that looks better.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a black hole in the middle, does it?
No. All right. That'll do. Otherwise, we can just do the 4 guests, which I can do. So get to...
Somewhere, yeah.
I can't read the chat anyway, to be honest.
Oh, it'll come up on a different screen in a second. Oh, Darren is actually here. There you go. He's here.
Now he's...
Now you've screwed me around. Look, I'm going to have to put him back.
No.
I can't have it like that. What are you doing to me, Darren?
Come on, Darren.
Well, you said you wasn't doing a pre-show.
No, I am doing a
this is
pre-show.
true.
I just wasn't doing a pre-show. But it looks like I'm doing a pre-show. Does that confuse you?
Get your head around that one. Get your head around that one, Darren. Come on. That's upside down thinking, if ever there was. Oh, sorry, that's racist. Isn't it?
I've just got in because I've had some good news.
Oh.
Oh. Is it to do with Frankfurt?
Delivery.
He's got a delivery.
It is, yes. Frankfurt at last. They didn't know where it was.
Mine hasn't landed.
It was lost. Oh no, it won't. It's coming from Germany. They're having issues. So according to UPS said we don't know where it is. We think we've lost it. Do you know where it is? Which to we replied, no, you've got the tracking, and it keeps telling us it's in Frankfurt. So the tracking knows where it is, but they don't. Eventually, it sort of well, the paperwork was done over here 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, because the parcel was split up into 2 for some reason from Tolman. They didn't want to know because they said UPS has got it. UPS weren't sure where it was, but they knew it was somewhere because the tracking said so, but they didn't know where it was. Only where it was the tracking, but they didn't know where that was. And it sort of flip-flopped round Frankfurt for 3 weeks. Then it sort of popped over to, or we thought it popped back into England about a week ago. And the next tracking came up 2 days later and found out it's still back in Frankfurt. So they must have took it out of the yard, gone round and put it back in.
Yeah, that's it.
And then it's and then eventually it was over here on Friday. Even though they were saying it wasn't going to be delivered till Monday. So Friday night it came. So I've been just doing a bit of work.
Well, there you go.
Since you're having a pre-show, I'll have a bit of time.
Nice to meet you, Darren.
So yeah.
So everybody who's watching, we are streaming live. Darren, by the way. So to the right of me, you've got Darren in the middle, and then you've got Paul, the top right-hand corner. Down the bottom, you've got Dean, and then you've got Andy in the bottom middle, and then you've got all the chatties sandwiched in that bottom right-hand corner.
Right, the chatties.
The chatties. Yeah.
There's about don't worry, there's only about 40 or 50 people on the show, so it's not a massive show. So you don't have to worry too much. Anyway. Okay, so I think we're pretty right with everyone's mic levels. Let us know in the chat if you have got a problem with anyone's mic levels. I'll start with, and then we can go to Darren, do your mic test. No, you're not working at all.
Yeah.
Or you just haven't
now.
Okay. Then Paul.
Yeah, this is a microphone test.
Good. And Dean.
Hi, you hear me?
Dean's a little bit quiet, I'd say.
I'm not sure how to turn it up this end. These.
Okay.
He's just sat right back having a chill, that's why.
I can probably make his go a bit louder. I can boost yours if I need to, Dean. All right, and Andy.
Okay.
Don't want to miss Andy out.
Est inconspictu tenedos notissemen sulla fama di ves opundum priami regnum manebat.
Is that a different camera angle, Andy?
Well, sort of, because I've stuck the webcam onto the end of a mic stand with a lump of blue tack. So it's almost the same, but not quite. So it's up there. So yeah, just so I could move it around more. That was my studio hack. I've got another great studio hack. It's here, but I'll tell you about that one in a minute.
Right. Okay. So we're a couple of minutes away from starting the real show, and I think all of our tests are pretty much good. The only thing that's failed is Mr. Mac's submission, and he's having a big cry about it. He's probably even left the show. If he's still there, you can just send it to me in another way, because Facebook it now. Email works. Oh, what was that noise?
Your email.
That's someone getting me back. I think that's karma, Ramsey, for the my messaging last week.
There's Discord, there's emails, there's all sorts of ways that you can contact me, and Facebook seems to be not working too good, unless there's like a message or something.
New crisps this week.
Oh yeah, are they quieter, those ones?
We'll find out. I'm actually going to open them.
They're Pringles, sir.
Yeah, they're like Pringles.
Well, we're not Apple. We're sort of the copyright of Pringles type of thing.
Oh, you've been to Burner. You're shopping at Aldi or Lidl again.
Okay. We have emails.
You must wonder where you've landed.
You can tell me if they're louder.
We have emails.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sample it.
I already have.
Mr. Mac, the first IKEA link and the second IKEA link I am actually going to show, but I will mention that you mentioned it as well. But this picture is awesome. I'll definitely chuck this in. I like this.
Put your dummy back in, Stephen.
Okay, sorry, let me just grab this picture. Sorry, every time I do that, the whole screen goes weird. Okay, so Mr. Mac's sister's picture is in. All right, we'll show that in the show.
Yay.
Cool, fantastic. Okay, we've got 2 minutes before the show starts. There you go. He had my email address. What's the big deal? Facebook sucks. Okay, we're all good. Done. Dummy's back in. Good boy. God, he has a little whinge, doesn't he? He has a big sulk when things don't go his way. Yeah. Okay, so why don't we start the show early? Why don't we do that? Let's go. We'll start it a minute early. Here we go. Hello and welcome to another Saturday. Yes, you've arrived here safely. And if you think that's a major feat, well, think about poor me. I was in lockdown for a week. Yeah, only a week. Don't worry about that. Anyway, it's the 6th of February. 6th of February. This is episode 102. It's Synths and streaming geekery, if you're wondering what this is all about. You're about to find out. But before I crap on about myself, let's say g'day to all of our guests. We'll start with this button here. Big hello to Darren. How's your week been?
Good, bad. Started off bad, and now it's good because, yes, everybody, my bits from Germany, Frankfurt, have arrived. I've been out in the cold, wet, trying to get bits. So by the end of the month, definitely, it should be done.
Fantastic. All right.
Might not be full kit, but...
I'm really hoping the internet will hang in there because I've got lots of guests on the show today. And starting with this gentleman here, this is Paul Barker. Big warm welcome to you. Paul's from DINSync. If you don't know who DINSync is, you're going to find out very soon. But how's your week been, Paul?
That's been great, really. I mean, I've been stuck indoors doing absolutely nothing but work. But we got our new case prototype for the 909 this week. And it looks absolutely stunning. So, yeah, it's a good one.
Fantastic. All right, well, we will get stuck into all your stuff soon. We've got a few things to get through before, so we'll come back to you. Big hello, another warm welcome to Dean. He's a newbie on the show. Nice to have you. How's your week been?
Yeah. We've had a really good week. It's been busy. I've got the stuff in the studio, so I'm really happy. And then the downside is trying to get hold of the builder to cut the last little bit of kitchen top that I'm using here. So yeah, it's been a good week. I've really enjoyed it, actually getting everything in here and seeing it all how it's ending up.
So there's a bit of a spoiler alert. We're going to actually go check out all the progression of what Dean's been up to, and that's one of the reasons why he's on the show. So he's gone from building something from scratch, and I literally mean there was dirt underneath where he was sitting not too long ago, and now he's got a massive synth cave. So this is going to be exciting. We'll definitely come back to that one, Dean. Thanks for having you on. Now, last but not least is Andy. How's your week been?
Hello, everyone. Not the same as it always is, except we had snow, which caused a day and a half of chaos, but that's normal. I've had a hospital appointment, which was tedious, sitting around twiddling my thumbs for most of the time. I was in and out in 10 minutes once they actually saw me, and just been twiddling knobs, basically. My new modular bits haven't arrived. The UPS have apparently tried to deliver them 3 times. Yeah, Darren, bloody oops, have tried to deliver them 3 times, even when I've been in and not managed it. And now I've got to go and pick them up on Monday morning. So mine aren't hanging around in Frankfurt somewhere. They're actually here. They're actually here in Sheffield, but I've got to go and get them from the depot on Monday morning. So, well, I'm looking forward to that very much. I've just been messing about with that little sort of system I've got up at the minute with the Model D and the 960 sequencer, and just loving it. Now that I've got my head into it a bit more, just absolutely loving it, and can't wait to get the new bits in because I want to smother delay all over it all. Yes.
Have you tried the CV stuff on your MPC One yet?
No, I haven't yet. No, I haven't. That is a future bit. When the other bits and bobs are in, that's something I'm going to try out. But at the moment it's about arrangements and where I put things, because actually I've got nowhere in here to stick that bloody Euro rack. I'm gonna have to. So I talked about last week about taking the piano out and putting back tables or the. Well, then I'm sort of going down Darren's path and thinking of just taking the whole thing out and having a real rethink about how I stack things. So I'm actually really interested to hear what. Particularly what Dean has got to say, what Darren's got to say about how they've gone about doing that and ideas, because I'm not practical at all. I really am not good, but I'm definitely up for tips. So looking forward to this very much.
Okay, fair enough. Now, while I've got you there, you're still a little bit quiet. You're not. It's not because you're not close to the mic. It's probably because you need to pump something up in terms of your mixer or your audio interface or something like that. We'll come back to that anyway for you in a sec. So here we are.
Giving it a poke.
Whoa, now I'm going to have to pull it back a bit.
Sorry.
That's a big poke.
That was a decent poke, that was. All right. I might just pull that right back. There we go. Here we all are. It's like the Brady Bunch, isn't it?
Well, I'll turn it up and then you turn me down. I can't win, can I?
Well, you're used to getting turned down, Andy. Right.
Yeah. Story of my life, mate.
We are not going to forget about these fantastic people who are sitting in the chat room, and if you're not in the chat room, you're not a person. You're fake. So get in the chat room and say hi. And if you're new to the show, jump in and say and introduce yourself and say hi, because we'll mention your name and embarrass you in front of everyone, because that's what we do here. Wow, lots of people. I might just do a cheat and just hit this button on here that says participants. And it's not very big. I don't know. ASIO Head's there. Corrosive Abuser's there. Inky the Cat. Hello, Lisa. Inverted Popes. Then there's Chris Bedford Studios. Mr. Mac, of course. megamarkd. Native VS. Sasquatch. Tongue-tied there. The Electronic Composer. And Mr. Wagoo. And there's a lot more than what that list said, that's for sure. There's Axelsoft. There is who else? Could have sworn I saw more than that. Auto Z, big hello to you. Ping Pong 85, big massive hello to you. I don't think we've had you before. So warm welcome to the channel. JX3D, of course, big warm welcome to you, matey. Nice to have you all the way from Copenhagen. in Denmark. Human errors there. Yeah. So Eduardo's there. He's going to have a little mention on the show. I think that's about it, though, isn't it? And if I forgot, JP Page too. I don't know if I mentioned him. He's on there. If there's anyone that I've forgotten, like I say, every week, just throw your synth at the screen in disgust, because that's what you do. All right, you get angry, you just grab your big 88 key keyboard and just go and throw it right at the screen. No, it's just a bit stupid, really. Right, let's get on to the show. Bang. For some weird reason, you have got a bizarre. What the hell just happened there? Okay, I think I know. I think this might be the Gremlins. This might be the Gremlins. It's not that. It's.
Don't tell Rans, but he's actually blocked me on Facebook. Oh dear.
Oh, I changed cameras, and there you go. Hey, there it is. Way. I'm going to have to fix it for all of these segments now. Yay.
Oh.
And I thought
Can you
here
put
it was.
that grey square back up? It was much nicer to look at. Sorry,
That's
Rans.
my roof. Anyway, starting off. Let's get on with it, guys. Let's get on with it, because otherwise we'll never get to the end of the show. Okay. If your man does any of these, it means he just purchased a new synthesizer. Big sexist.
I'm sick of this gender stereotyping. Stop it.
That's very sexist. I mean, I do that stuff every day. Feel sorry for me? All right, moving right along.
It's all
I
lies.
live alone. I've got to.
The arpeggiator latch doesn't mean you're a musician.
That's after the equipment turns up.
Oh, nice.
And then moving right along on the same thing, then he got mad and tried to prove me that he's a musician by sweeping the bed.
Oh, God, after this week. Love
Driving
that one.
along in
That's
the
very
car,
funny.
of course, having endured 37 minutes of Celine Dion, had no choice but to eject. All right. That's the icebreaker. That's why we do Funny Side. Gentlemen and ladies, which one was your favourite?
Oh, it's obvious, isn't it? It's got to be the FFS one.
Yeah.
We'll get to the FFS a bit later, I think. I think we need to talk about that briefly.
No, we do. We definitely
I did
do.
love. I did love the cleaning one, because I've
The
been
cleaning
doing
one?
that all week. Just my guilty.
Is that a bit of a punishment, Dean?
Yeah. It's just me setting it up for when all the equipment turns up. So no, I'm not buying another synth or buying a bit of equipment. I know it's turning up. You have to get a second mailbox just so that you can sneak it without having to go through the front door anymore, because you've got your own front door for the studio now. Yeah, I'm going to get a new address and sneak it round the back door.
Get round the back door. Yeah, fantastic. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Hopefully this button works. Actually, before I do that button, I am going to fix this. Oh, no, I don't need to fix that one. Bugger it. We'll roll the stinger. News time. Yay. Right, yes, don't adjust your screens. There is some particles flying around in your dusty studio. It is news time, and first cab off the rank is this bizarre looking thing from Eric, and it's actually pretty cool, I think. This is kind of, I like this sort of stuff. This is kind of a collaboration between a musician called Liquid Sky, and they've made this a new version of the Dada noise system. This is the Dada noise system 2, and it's an experimental modular synth lab that takes musicians on a quadraphonic sound journey. But instead of me crapping on and sounding like a stupid idiot, I am going to play a little video, and let's see if we can get this to work properly. Okay, and take this off. Too many buttons to press, people. Here we go. There's a thumbs up there. That's got to be a good start. Here we go. Punch in the air, that's a good start. That always helps. Yeah, there we go.
Bloody gabber.
Yeah. All right.
Is he Dutch?
I'm going to have to pause that. Now, let's get that graphic back up. Okay, so what is it? It is obviously a quadraphonic sound and fusion type mod, and it features 2 VCOs, 3 VCFs in and a modulator, and it's got a stereo delay, joystick, VC clock modulator, a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But did you notice the kind of cool valvey looking things on it? So that's the ring modulator and the delay flanger ensemble thing in the middle there. That looks actually pretty cool. Anyway, do we know how much this is? Yes. Okay, everyone's sitting down.
Quite a lot.
Everyone's sitting down.
Yeah.
This is not including VAT. 3,310 euros.
Ooh.
So you can get it now.
Sounds about right.
Everyone hit the buy now button. More information on the Erica Synths website, which I'll actually bring up because there might be something we want to check out.
They're not cheap, are they? Those Erica Synths things. I mean, they're wonderful, but they're not cheap. If you go on Toolman and look at the Erica Synth systems, they always come in expensive. If you buy a whole case full of stuff.
Yeah. So
It's cheap.
that's about all there is about it anyway on there. So I don't think there's really anything more to add. Okay, where do we go from here? We go back to this button. I don't have a shortcut button for this. I'm going to have to fix that. Okay, who wants to make a comment about the Dada, the Dada Noise System 2?
I just like to go on connections.
All right, we'll go with Andy, then we'll go with Paul.
Okay, I like the name. I like Dada. I like Dada because it's in there too. The Cabaret Voltaire I think in Zurich was where the Dadists all used to meet up, and of course Cabaret Voltaire has a lovely connection to Sheffield, being our Sheffield heroes. So I just thought I'd chuck that in just for the sake of it. Can't afford one of these, so other than that.
Okay. Now, Paul had a comment to make.
I like it. I mean, it does sound expensive, but if you actually look how many modules are in the rack, and you compare it to like a typical mainstream single module, it seems like quite a good deal. I'm assuming the case and the power comes with it. I don't know.
Oh, it's the complete unit. Yep. And
I think it always seems expensive when you put all those together. But I mean, typically, how much is a good Eurorack module? $300 to $500. It adds up very quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a good point. Definitely a good point. Yeah. So that's the Dada Noise System 2, and I think there's a couple of tip of the hats from Erica to some big artists like Suzanne Ciani, sorry, I should have pronounced that correctly. And a few sort of other people that have been involved or kind of inspired with this. So it's definitely got a better sort of more unique sound than what I've heard out there. And doesn't mean that you can't achieve this with a Eurorack or some other synths plugged together and through different modulation sources. Maybe, but I do think this is kind of unique sounding. All right, what else have we got? We have got this wonderful looking thing that appeared out of nowhere. What was that noise? That was weird. Okay, I'm getting some weird sounds out of my... There we go, I'm going to turn that off. Right, so this is some Facebook group has put this up, and this is the Akai Force 6, and it's kind of like a graphic render that they found deep in some, I don't know, I don't even know where they found it, actually. I forget where I read it. It was on some Facebook group, but they found it somewhere deep. Now, I know that some of the other shows have shown us already. A reason why I want to show it is because I have 2 Akai products here in my studio, the MPC Live and the Akai Force. And I think it's got to be a natural progression for this company to go. I mean, they've got the Alesis, when they bought them out. So they've got that kind of keyboard in there, is it In Music? Is that the company that Akai's big boss is? Anyway, so they've got, so they've got the that Elisa's background as well. It's not out of their scope to produce a keyboard. They've produced a few fail keyboards recently. We won't go there, but definitely they're really, really good at making controller keyboards. Akai, I've got a few of them, and they are really, really old for me. So, and they still act like they were the day I bought them. So they make good gear. I don't have any videos or anything. This is probably more a discussion piece because we don't even know if this is real. So, gentlemen and ladies, who wants to make a comment about this, whether it's real, whether they think it's a good idea? Anyone want to take that one?
I just wondered, is it analog or digital, have they mentioned?
So it'll be based. You can have the show. It'll be based on a MPC or a Force, which is basically a sampling digital sort of platform. That's all we know. If it exists, I mean, this could just be complete, numpty.
It looked real to me, like it was something on the packaging or something.
Yeah,
like similar to the Korg packaging, where they have kind of a silhouette of the device rather than lots of detail.
It's one of the things we know for sure. It's definitely possible that they can make this because if you guys know a little bit about the MPC and the Force software, it can actually take a keyboard controller and it can do pretty much anything with the MIDI mapping and routing that's already in it. So this would actually not be too much of a stretch for them to do. It would literally just be redesign a case, put a keyboard on it. They've already got the screen, they've already got the operating system, they've already got the pads, everything's already just pretty much just mapped out. They just have to, reconfigure it. It'd be a no-brainer, really. Who would buy it? Yeah?
Can I actually say, Ramsey, that we actually predicted this? We talked about it. When we were talking about predictions, one of the things we said was, wouldn't it be a great idea if Akai made like a workstation that was essentially an MPC or a Force in a box with a 5-octave velocity and aftertouch sensitive keyboard? We actually talked, and I think it's a great idea because I mean one of the things about saying here using the MPC is sort of the disconnect between the box up here and the keyboard down. I love the idea of it just being a thing in one box. And I know people say, well, what difference does it make? Just stick a MIDI cable in it or a USB cable in it, nothing goes. When we talked about the W30 years ago, the fact that it was all in one thing and you just pressed your sample, pressed a key and it was there. It was brilliant. I loved that. So I actually think this has got a lot of mileage. This as an idea. I think it really does.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did actually predict it, and there it is. It may not be real. It may just be a mock-up or something that someone's hidden inside some code or whatever the situation was. But I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. One thing I'm kind of a little bit perplexed about is the big kind of void, the horizontal void in the middle there. See that? So you've got the keyboard, and then you've got this big horizontal void of nothing, and then you've got all the pads and the screen and everything up the top. So what the hell is that about? That's a bit weird.
Well, it's clearly not a thing.
That's for putting your beer and all the rest of the carton of beer that's
it
can line up all the beers.
Ashtray,
your skinning up machine.
That's the dance floor. Jump up on it. Anyway.
Backlit.
Yeah,
a big massive LED show. Right, what else we got?
Inky says she hopes it's not a speaker. That's an interesting idea because
Oh God.
Yeah.
Now, not God about this. We are moving on to the next one. This is a company called Feedback Modules, and they've released. The reason why I'm showing this is they've released a couple of new Eurorack modules, and you might think to yourself, what is so special about an LFO and a couple of envelope generators? Well, let me tell you. There's probably three things that are going to make you think, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Firstly, the LFO is based on the Korg MS-20 monophonic synth. So it's actually like the same sort of circuitry that they used on the LFO for that. That may be of interest for you. But secondly, the price. These are only €35 for this module. Wow. And on top of that, you can get a DIY version for about 17 euros. So that is pretty insane. The envelope or the
Behringer.
They are. It's really started now. I mean, you've got the
say again how much they are, Ramsey. Sorry,
35 euros or 17 euros for a DIY. So you can build one yourself. This is a envelope generator. The first one is a 45 euro module, the ENV100, which is the one on the left in that picture. It is a full ADSR, blah, 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 blah. Nothing special about that. It's just a pretty decently cheap made, not cheap made, but cheap to acquire envelope generator. But the next one actually is pretty cool. For 50 euros, this one is a little bit more complex. This has actually got an analog, a SMD AS3310 it's based on, which is a Curtis chip. And a lot of poly and mono analog synths from the 80s used this chip for the envelope generators. And one of the things that it does do is it has a mode switch. So you can go from ADSR to damp, which is an ADRR, or you can go to auto, which is just an ASR. And that actually is pretty handy. And I haven't seen many Eurorack modules that have that ability. There are a few, and they're mostly digital. But yeah, that is actually a pretty handy thing to have. And at 50 euros plus, even cheaper if you build it yourself. Right, okay. So now that I've got through the guts of that, who wants to make a quick comment about the feedback modules?
Did you say they've got an oscillator as well?
Oh, they've got a heap of other modules. So let's have a quick look at their website. These are only the 3 new ones that they've released, but you can see on their website they have heaps. They've got, if I can get my mouse to work,
modules. Okay, cool.
They've got this thing called Squeeze, which is probably some sort of notchy type filter thing. They've got a mixer, chorus, 2 VCOs, so there's VCFs, different types of VCFs, mixers, multis, and these are all the DIY kits. And you can see the prices for the kits. So pretty much you get everything in your kit. You just got to put it together, and you've saved just about half the price. And they're actually some of these are. Sorry, Paul.
That's great.
I said you can't beat the price, really.
Yeah. I don't know if they're making much margin on this. That's for sure.
My only criticism really is. Oh, sorry.
My
only criticism really is. Many years ago, when I was doing, I haven't done Eurorack for about 5 years, but the thing I was seeing was another envelope generator, another LFO, and they, as good as they may be using an AS, which isn't really a SEM chip, it's a clone, but they've missed a trick. They could have had some cycle mode, for example, just to make it a little bit more versatile. I mean, I think in this day and age, another ADSR, nah, sorry.
Yeah, definitely missed the cycle mode, or at least the CV input for cycle, at least that.
Right.
Which they don't have, obviously. Hang on a sec. We also had a comment from Dean. Let me just get Dean's comment first. Andy, hang on. Dean wanted to say something.
Yeah. Sorry, Dean.
Yeah, hi. No worries, mate. And what I really liked is the design of it. It's really nice. And I was just playing with my MS-20 actually earlier, and it's a great LFO. It is a bit distinct.
It is a bit distinct. That's what I'm saying. Like it might, it just the shape of it, whatever. Just different to what you're used to. So that's Andy.
So I was actually going to ask Paul. Actually, obviously he's an engineer. He knows his stuff with electronics. I suppose if you knew your way around the kits, would it be easy enough to hack in your own sort of alteration to say a basic one to put in things like a means to cycle it or to trigger it in a particular way or to sync it?
Depends on the circuit, wouldn't it?
So it really depends on if they're going to give you the information. I mean, if they publish the circuit, then it's a matter of just sitting down and working it out. But if you're guessing, I mean, then you have to hack it. And you're going to risk breaking it in the process. But I don't think cycle is such a difficult thing to implement. Of course, I haven't seen the designs, but I just think that if we're talking about the only real advantage here is it's just cheap. It's good and cheap, and it seems. I mean, they look nice. No, you can't fault that, but I think really we need to move forward a little bit. I think another ADSR where you can get 1,000 ADSRs today, so they've got a lot of competition. Really, I think just a couple of extra features could have put it above the a little bit above the sort of generic ADSR that we see everywhere.
I mean, you could probably study that circus. Yeah, €12
it's really great
for a kit.
Yeah, exactly. But you can't beat that. You can't beat that at all.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking
So
myself.
€12 if you make them. So.
Sorry, Dave. Say that again.
Sorry. I'm thinking. I haven't gone into the Euro rack. A lot of my stuff's semi-modular, so I'm thinking about going down into the Euro rack rabbit hole. So yeah, this would be a company I'd like to look into, and looks like I'd like to use. I'd like to hear some reviews and hear what they sound like a bit more.
Well, I might get a couple in because I mean at that price, I mean, geez, exactly. it's just worth mucking around with anyway. So I might get a couple in.
And it's not by that horrible company.
Yeah.
Whereabouts are they based?
Oh no, that horrible company.
I actually couldn't work it out.
I've got loads of.
But there may be some way, another way for me to find that out. Just give me a sec.
That one. That horrible company.
I think the point to make here is there's a few companies now, and we won't mention the big one, but there's a few companies now making quite affordable Euro 8 modules. So Dreadbox are one, for example, and they've done really, really well with their chromatic series. And I'm actually really, really impressed with their build quality on their chromatic series. They're actually very inexpensive. There's a few others. For example, Erica Synths do the Pico range, which I think are really, really, for me, that is engineering innovation as well, because some people just don't want to use up all of their rack space for something like a drum sample module or something like that. So, for example, I've got the drums module. It's actually brilliant. It's only 2 HP. Can't work out where these guys are from. Sorry, I do not know. It doesn't say. Someone else in chat might talk about it.
Modules are great, but at the same time, they're also ergonomically terrible.
Oh yeah, you're doing. Yeah, you're doing this.
Put me off,
but I mean, look, the 2 HP modules that I buy are ones that you set and you leave it. So you basically set it. It's not a playing module. So I won't buy a 2 HP module that I need to muck around with during a performance. It'll be a set and leave type module. And that's a good rule of thumb. If you want to perform, you go for the bigger knob type modules. Right, we should move on. We've got more. We've done 1, 2, and we've got this one. No, we don't have that one. We've got this one. Yay.
Oh,
I saw that the other day. It looks kind of interesting.
This is really, really cool. Okay, now I've got to find where the graphics disappeared to. What the hell?
Nice and small as well.
So what is this? This is by a company called Modern Sounds, and this is called the Pluto. And so before we talk about it or do anything with it, why don't we have a little listen? Now let me just get the video up. Yes, I know you can't see it, but now you can.
It's got like a little TKB in it. 4 steps. Can't hear it though.
You can't hear that at all, or is it just a bit quiet?
No, not hearing it, Rand.
I thought it was silence.
Why are you not hearing it? Okay. Let's try that again. Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a bit quiet though, this video. There's nothing I can do about it.
It looks great. It's a small little integrated system, isn't it?
So it's semi-modular. Why don't we pause that there? So yeah, basically there's no filter. There's an ADSR envelope, LFO. Sorry, there's no filter, no ADSR envelope, no LFO. The developer in this uses a Buchla inspired type architecture. Each voice comes with a low pass gate style VCA, which can act as a filter without being one. The advantage of low pass gates, obviously significant, softer, rounder sort of sound. Complex modulations. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Does it have
Does it have what? Sorry.
Vactrals? Vactrals.
Vactrals.
If it's a low pass code, no, Vactral is that gives it that nice woody tone.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if it adds Vactrals because they're quite expensive. Like
don't think they've mentioned Vactrals on here, but they've got 5 modulation pulse outputs with the spread knob. I'm just going to tell you about it. Each voice has a little patchable 4-step sequencer. It's for customizing each sequencer. It's battery operated, and we don't know any price. They haven't actually released the price, and they're saying it's available soon. So I think it's just one of those little sort of noodly type boxes that may kind of appeal to people, you know. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? The Pluto by Modern Sounds. There is some more info on their website. We could probably grab that up.
I love it's battery powered. That's amazing. Yeah, that sounds like the Ocos, which I've got. You know, it's got that lovely bootler sound.
Yeah.
I love that.
So there's your features there, Paul.
It mentions it there. Look, Buckler Music Easel.
Yeah. Doesn't say anything about Vactrals though.
It probably doesn't. It might, but you know, the trouble with Vactrals is matching them for synths. If you're going to have 4 in there or 3, however many you need for a low pass gate, it's normally a pair, but it can be kind of tricky to get them all balanced in a single unit. So it's kind of a distraction, and it's going to add to the price if they're going to import it, if they're going to use it. So maybe that's the reason.
One thing I don't like about it is it's got a micro USB. Ugh, please stop using micro USBs. Like, just stop using them.
Power?
That would be the power,
so
and I think it says MIDI via USB as well.
Oh, it's charging via USB.
Yeah,
that's what it says, power charge. So if you're running on the battery, it's 20 amp hour. That's a while.
2.5 amp hour. Yeah, yep.
That lasts a while. So
yeah, that's decent.
Charge it, unplug it, and then use it.
It only weighs 12 ounces. That is nothing.
Wow.
That's like a beer.
It is, yeah.
That's put it in your pocket and off you go, isn't it?
Beer in one hand and the little Pluto on the other, and you'd be like, yep, I'm happy. Finish the beer and muck around with your Pluto. It does have built-in looping and delay, so I didn't see that before. It's written on their website. It does have a clock range from 1 BPM, which I don't see often, where they start at 1 BPM and they go into audio rate. So that's also pretty interesting. So you see a lot of stuff that has MIDI clock range, and because I've used some standard MIDI algorithm, and it starts at like 20 or 30 BPM and it goes up to 300 or 250. You know what I mean? Like, it's stupid standard algorithms. I just cut and paste those digital algorithms. Whereas these guys at least have gone a bit sort of more crazy on both ends. Yeah, I like that. All right. Now, the last thing that we should mention before we do anything else is, how did we go last week with this? With the monster that Andy started.
Oh, man.
So, you know, way back, what is it, about a year ago, Starsky Carr did his video where he was having a whinge about
It's not that
YouTube.
long ago, actually, Rans.
Yeah, I think it was about a year ago, wasn't it? Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I had my rant about 2 weeks ago, and now it's gone crazy. Now, what's brilliant about this is that the whole synth community just got together, and they everyone just uploaded this hashtag FFS videos to YouTube, and they all just did filter sweeps, and there was filter sweeps from, you know, VST synths. There were filter sweeps from
everything.
There was even a Timberwolf filter sweep, which I thought, I should have done it. I should have done my Timberwolf up there. So
yeah, there was. That put a smile on my face, Ramsey. I saw that. I thought, yes.
Yeah. Now, what was interesting was, for example, the feedback that we've got from a lot of people on this was that a lot of people got copyright claims, which is the whole point of why we're proving that this is just so stupid. All we're doing is demonstrating the functionality of a synthesizer. It's not melodic. It's not copying any music. It's nothing to do with music at all. And this stupid algorithm just flags it. So my video, within 10 seconds, it hadn't even finished doing its processing, I got the email from YouTube saying, "Yep, you're trying to copyright some idiot," and I'm just like, "Yeah, this is just stupid."
I've had that with I've got some very I've got some very old synth demos of 808s from like 10 years ago, and I've had copyright strikes on them just because it sounds like an 808 beat and it's someone just matched up to something somewhere. It's so annoying.
It is. It's really, really stupid, and
it's tricky, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But anyway, the good thing about this, it happens, whether something happens, whatever, we've made it people aware that this is stupid, and I guess the more that we voice it, we can probably forward this information to Rick Beato. I know he's been pretty vocal in the Senate in the US.
He had a video up yesterday actually about, he had a proper one, a proper strike rather than just a notification.
He's had a strike now, which
seriously pissed off about,
which is actually a bad thing. So I should mention everything that's happened to me hasn't been a strike. It's all been just claims. And whilst you're sort of mucking around with the claims side of things, as long as there's some sort of resolution to the claims, you won't get a strike. But if, say, for example, I've disputed all of mine, by the way, but if it comes back and that record company, whether it be Sony Music or Warner Brothers or I forget who the other one was, Universal was the other one. So I've had all the three big ones basically, and they've come back and I've said to them, no, this is my original work. And they've come back and said, no, you're copying, blah, blah, blah. I'm literally then heading down the barrel of a strike. So that's kind of where it can go. But I guess from my point of view, what actually happens once you get a copyright claim is your video, whether this is important to you or not, it doesn't really matter, but your video sits on YouTube in what I would call a claim jail scenario. So basically, if it's partially blocked or if it's monetized in escrow or any of the situations that evolve based on what's happening whilst your claim is being viewed and rectified, it sits there for 30 days. Now, what happens in that 30 days is the performance of that video that you're putting up doesn't get a normal algorithm sort of response in the standard, like if you had a normal video that went up without a copyright claim. And that performance of that video is grossly affected. So that means the views are going to be down, it's not reaching parts of the world, a whole bunch of these factors come into it. And that's happening for 30 days unless it gets rectified earlier. But in most cases, it just sits there for 30 days. And at the end of 30 days, the video is not in, we've moved on. And it's kind of ruining the whole, in my opinion, it's just kind of ruining the whole experience of using YouTube. I used to get excited about putting videos up now, and now I'm kind of trepid about it. It's annoying.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty awful if you're a content creator to get a strike, especially if you're, a lot of people actually making half a living on these kind of things, and they're striking you off for a filter sweep. That's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, I guess that's the news. Look, what do the chatties have to say about it?
Can I pick up, Ramsey? Before you go off on there, can I actually just do? I think there's stuff that needs to be said. And what needs to be said is, I stuck the stuff up on social media, so in some ways I gave it the kick up the bum that perhaps it needed, and it went out there. There were lots of people out there who went out and got behind this. So I think we need to give a big shout out to Pro Synth Network because they got behind it. Jamie Geersynth, the mention on Sonic State, I think that fired a lot of people up, Sonic State mentioning it and getting behind it. And I've spent from Monday this week, almost every day, I've sat there and I've gone through and I've checked the hashtag FFS and February filter sweep and look, and I've tried to got to catch them all, tried to catch as many of these as I possibly could. And I've made every effort to watch them all, like them all, and comment on every single one. And the one thing that comes across to me loud and clear is just to what extent everybody has got behind it and has contributed in an amazing way. And it's been an absolute trip. It's been slightly mind blowing, if I'm honest. And I just want to sit here and say a genuine heartfelt thank you to everybody who has done their bit and played their part and contributed. It's been absolutely wonderful. Thank you, everybody. Fantastic. And if I've missed anyone, if I haven't commented on anybody's video, if I haven't seen it, please forgive me. I really have tried to catch as many as I could. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Well done, Andrew.
thanks, Andy. I mean, obviously, it was your idea to sort of start this, so that was really well done. So hats off to you. No, I did the same thing. I mean, if I've missed anyone's video, I apologise, but I think I counted probably about 60 or 70, somewhere around that vicinity, that I went in and I put a brief sort of comment and clicked like on their video. So tried to do as much. Wagoo actually started doing a playlist for it, and it was quite interesting because he did his playlist, and as the days progressed during the week, some of the videos were disappearing off his playlist because of the way the copyright are being affected by it, which I thought was extremely weird. So we'll probably tell you all about that. Now, chatties are saying things like that they were kind of, moved by it all. Yeah, so it was really good. So thanks to everyone who's in the chat room who actually did put a video up, whether it was early, late, on time, whatever, doesn't matter. The whole point is we had fun doing it. And I think it was kind of like a release, wasn't it? It was like us musicians are saying, hey, this is just stupid. Please, stop being stupid. Computers shouldn't be... Algorithms are like artificial intelligence. They should not be controlling human beings. And this is one of the first examples of where this is actually happening.
Just to... that to me is just a contradiction in terms. Yeah. Artificial intelligence just is... it's just daft. No, sorry. Okay, I'll shut up.
Fair enough. All right, we should move on to the next. We've got one more segment, and then we're going to have a bit of a chat to Paul. So hang in there, Paul. We won't be long. We're going to do this one. This is our price watch scams. We do have scams this week. Not always do we have scams, but I think Eddie's in the chat room. Oh, there you go. I've got another one of these ones where my roof is showing. Let me fix that.
It's a very lovely roof.
I've just changed cameras, and all I've got to do is just go bang. There we go. Look at that, full fixed. Right, now, first one off the rank is, where's it? Number one, bang. This one's sent in by Eddie, who's in the chat room. He feels this is a complete and utter scam. This is a JV80, I think version 96, which is the world collection of Latin sound on the expansion board. These are getting, look at the postage on that. How could you say that's $120 to post a piddly little piece of circuit like that? They are literally, they would be no bigger than the palm of your hand. They're tiny, those things.
Yeah, they're not big.
Anyway, the postage I'm going to have a rant about. But you're looking at £230.
That's the credit card.
They are tiny, these things. Anyway, so I think this is starting to get really, really, really stupid. And I agree with Eddie. I think that's a good one. All right, moving right along. Eddie also sent this one in as well. This one came off Alibaba. We haven't had an Alibaba before. He actually had two. He had an AliExpress and an Alibaba one. Anyway, if you can't work out what you're seeing here, you can get a drop-shipped Yamaha's Montage 8 synthesizer 88 key for anything between $150 to $200 I think that might be a scam, guys. Just warning.
You're going to get a plastic keyboard and a plastic stool.
I think you might get the things below the synth. I don't think it's actually the synth itself. I've seen a few of these.
You get upset when they're so expensive.
I mean, that's expensive for
but
those
we also
stands.
get seriously suspicious. Right? Montage 8? Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll pull the other one. It plays Hallelujah Chorus.
Yeah. And also some of these retailers in the world have been getting on the bandwagon of putting some exuberant prices. What the hell, Guitar Center? This is not my world. This is in the US. This is sent in. Guitar Center, Akai Pro Force.
No way.
If you're on my Discord channel, you'll see all these things come in during the week. Was this Wagoo? I think it might have been Wagoo that put this in. $3,000, you might as well say. That is nowhere worth $3,000. And I think it was, what was it? I got mine for £750, I think it was. So, yeah, there you go. And the last but not least is, oh my God, will you people stop thinking the OP1 is the Holy Grail synth? Seriously. Like,
it's a Mellotron.
Apparently, because this
All
has got some Mellotron sounds on it, it's worth 2,000 Australian dollars. You are absolutely kidding me, aren't you? Seriously. Seriously. This is, by the way, from the US too. So
an effervescing elephant. Good name.
I think he might have been effervescing on something else when he came up with his price. So that segment, Paul, you must agree, is always a bit of fun. We always find some weird things out there in the world for people to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Good luck to all these people who are trying to sell that crap. And jump on the show and let us know.
I feel sorry for the people that actually fall for it. I mean, it's not just synthesizers; it's all sorts of things that people always fall for scams every day, and it's just a bit sad, really.
Oh, it's fantastic. Right. Okay. Now, Mr. Paul, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
So, introduce yourself a little bit about your business, DINSync, and what you've been up to. Obviously, the start from the start when you did the 303. So you could talk about that, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I've been doing DINSync for 10 years now as a full-time job. Literally, because I couldn't find any work. I live in Sweden. My wife is Swedish. Obviously, I'm not Swedish, but I came here and it's kind of difficult to get work. And I got a job. Eventually, after many jobs, I got a job in a studio, and then I worked there for a couple of years. That's why I figured out I had sort of an aptitude for this kind of thing. And then I went into Eurorack, and then after seeing the saturation and the proliferation of Eurorack, I thought, well, this is not a business I can sustain as a single person. I went to, I think it was 2006 Super Booth, 2016 rather, and I suddenly realised I was a single person company competing against teams of people, and then I had my 303 prototypes at the show, and the writing was on the wall in regards to, should I make more Eurorack or should I pursue this 303 thing? And I tried to sell it to Roland, and they famously turned me down. Thank you, but no thank you. Got a reply from the senior management of Europe, so I've got good connection with Roland, fun enough now. Yeah, and so we led with that, and then we moved into various other things. And I mean, I've been doing synth repairs the whole time as well, but I do less of that now, obviously. And so we went through 303. Has been a phenomenal success for us. And when I say us, because it's not just me, I might be the head of DINSync, but we're much like a virtual company. And we work with guys in Austria called Camptronics, a guy in Germany, that's Christian Hartig, and Trevor Page from 1990 scene. He's involved with us. And we've got a guy in south of Sweden, Pixie. He does the CPU code for us, and then we've got close ties to Michigan Synthworks in the States, and our good old friend Gualta in Portugal as well. He's a big part of what's going on now these days. And for the future, we're shipping the 909 kits.
Okay, we're back. And I've just got to wait for everyone to come back in. Just give us a sec, people. Sorry about that. We had a crash. The actual streaming software just literally just went. It didn't make that noise, but I thought that was quite relevant. Hopefully people will start coming back into the call in a sec, because right now, there's Paul. Paul's back. Sorry, Paul, we crashed. So
I don't know how much you got my rant, but let's wait for the other guys to come back, maybe, and I can continue my little stories for you.
yeah,
But, typical.
yeah. The software is just absolutely died, and the computer stayed up. It was just the software that died. Never seen that happen before. Anyway,
my name's not Lisa.
Yeah, so that's what's happened. It's just dropped everything.
My name's wrong. It says my name is Lisa Inky. There we go.
And it's not DINSync 2 words, it's DINSync 1 word. There we go.
It's one word.
Sorry, I must have done a felt sweep in the background.
Yeah, we've got
Right.
a copyright strike for filter sweeps. Okay, where was I? Shall I continue, or is everyone watching it now again? Have we lost all our listeners, viewers?
No, we've still got 60-something people watching. They hung around, so we should be okay.
Where was I?
You were talking about
the 303?
You were talking about the 303, and I was literally about to put a 303 into the show, and that could have been what crashed it.
Yeah. Okay, well, basically, if I roll it back in my head, 2016, we took the 303 prototype to Super Booth. We showed it to Roland. We showed it to everyone. And I had contacts after that with Roland a few weeks, where I tried to pitch the idea of recreating the 303, the 606, and then the 808, and obviously other machines along the way, because the 303, the 606, and the 808 have a lot in common. In regards to, they use essentially the same CPUs and a lot of the same technology. So essentially they said thank you, but no thank you, which we kind of took that as a blessing that we don't want it. So we ended up releasing it. And it's the product. The 303 became the thing that really put us on the map, got us into a lot of people's heads. And a lot of people found out about us through that. In the first year, rather than the 5 years that we've been doing Eurorack. So we soon moved out of that, and so I basically was. I don't know if I listed the people we've been working with, but basically the core people. It's not just me. It's a lot of people, other people involved. We're somewhat of a virtual company. We work together. I do a lot of the marketing to get things out there. But for example, we work with Camptronics in Austria, who build machines for us, and also they're manufacturing the cases for a lot of the things that we sell. And then we have Christian Hartig in Germany. We have close ties to Michigan Synthworks in the States, and our friend Geralta in Portugal as well. He's working with us on the 808 and the 202, which currently we've got the 909 is shipping the kit for that. The cases have just arrived, and we should be seeing the final production cases very soon of the 909. We just got the test this week, and they look absolutely stunning. We're having all the plastic parts, the side panels, the knobs, the button caps, everything. I mean, we're pretty meticulous about this, and we're doing it, as a replica. I mean, basically, the philosophy with our stuff is you can use it for spare parts. And there's other clones on the market. We're not alone in this. We were basically in the beginning the first people to make, shall we say, replicas, and that was our marketing pitch. It's not a clone, it's a replica. And that caused a lot of debate, because people were saying, well, what's the difference between a clone and a replica? Well, technically nothing, but it's the idea was to give you an eye, send the message that we're kind of meticulously recreating these machines, rather than most people make a clone that add new features. But the idea for us was to actually make the machines in the original image. So we take the original machines to pieces, literally take them apart, and rather than use the service notes, which we do use for reference, but we use the original machines to see the differences. So we get all the nuances of the originals in our machines. And basically, if it's something like this, if you're going to say your thing is a replica, you better be able to take the original Roland chips and replace them. And if you can't take a Roland chip put it onto your motherboard, then it's not a replica, it's a clone. So basically, 100% spare parts for legacy products. And this was the pitch that I tried to sell to Roland, because they haven't made spare parts for these classic machines in 40 years. And there's a whole swath of people who want these machines. They don't want a digital version. They don't want a knockoff. They want as close to the original as possible. And yeah, it's a niche market, but that's where we're at. And we've got a strong following now. So after 10 years of being in electronics, we've slowly built up. But the last 5 years has been exponential. We've had good success with the 303, and we've been lucky and fortunate enough to find like-minded people to keep going. So it's essentially brand new vintage equipment. I mean, that's the best way we can do it, but you have to build it yourself. Now, if you can't do that, we have, like I say, we have these ties with Kumtronics. That's KUMP Tronics.com. And they're in Austria, and they will build it for you. Of course, you have to pay a fee, but we work with them only, exclusively recommend them because they do it properly. They don't take any shortcuts. They don't use the wrong parts because they can't get it. They actually use the time and effort to make it the original machines. So essentially that's where we're at. We're basically selling Roland reproductions.
Fantastic. Yeah. So one of the things that obviously we were excited about hearing is the recent announcement that you put on your Instagram the other day was that there's a whole bunch of new stuff that you've got coming up. Not to mention you've already done a couple of cool things which we'll go through. But for example, there's this thing. Sorry, not this. We don't do this yet. We'll do this one first. There's this one, which obviously personally is going to be very interesting for me. Now, if you look at this closely, there's actually a real Roland SH101 circuit board on top, and there's your Re101 circuit board underneath. And if you know anything about circuit boards, they are identical, other than the color. So when do you think something like that will be able to sort of hit the world? I know you said it's 2021. When do you think that's sort of going to become available for us?
Well, the 101 is already ready. The motherboard works. We've got it. I've actually got one installed into it. I have an old broken SH101, which I basically replaced with the 101 circuit board. And you can actually hear that on the Instagram, it's Instagram/DINSync. You can hear examples of it. It's identical. But the main issue with that really is getting a good replacement for the transformer coil, which is on the motherboard. And of course, then you've got the filter chip and the VCA. Now, we're able to actually there's a lot of people who are making accurate representations. The best one so far is Analog Renaissance. That's Geron in Belgium. They make a pretty accurate replacement you can drop in. So you can rebuild or build one from scratch. However, the idea of the 101 is that we don't really want to make a new keyboard or stuff. We'd rather put that into something bigger, like a polyphonic synth or something. So we're making short story, because we're making the 808 knobs, buttons, switches, and all these things. We want to repurpose those knobs, and so we're going to make a special edition version of the 101 with an 808 styling, so it'll have rotary knobs instead of faders, but it'll be done in a black case. It'll look like an 808, but it'll be a 101. That's the plan. But that's probably going to be the last thing that we do this year. The next, for us, the big one is the 808. That's the flagship. And then we're going to do the 202. And we're working with Guelta, or otherwise Philip, from Portugal. He's working close with us. And we basically recently managed to download the entire contents of the 808 CPU, and we have that now running on the Pixie platform. The Pixie CPU, if you're unaware, is basically developed by our friend Pixie here in Sweden. He had an idea to basically run the original code through emulation. Of course, with modern CPUs, we can get rid of all the memory. We can get rid of. We have no problems with time. You've got so much more power than you did 30, 40 years ago. But essentially what you're getting when you run a Pixie on, say, your 303 or your 606, 808, etc., you're getting the original code that Roland used in the original machines. So we're not only having all the analog circuits 100% replicated. We also had the digital circuits replicated. So you're actually getting the original playback and all that marketing stuff Roland keeps telling you about, these wonderful timing nuances. We've got it all because we're running the original code. And that's really the thing that really take most pride in, is trying to get it so that you wouldn't know if you had the muscle memory of using a 303 or an 808 and you did it in a blind test, you wouldn't know that you weren't using the original machine. And I think that's the thing that distinguishes us from most of the other clones in the market, where they clone it, but they fall short. They don't do the case properly. They don't do the plastic parts properly. They don't do the digital side properly, or they add features. And that's my personal hate. I really hate features. Nothing wrong with features, but then make a new synth with features rather than taking something that's iconic, that's in our eyes pretty damn perfect already. I mean, it wouldn't be so still used today if it wasn't. And so, we take a lot of effort to cover the details, and I think that it shows. But of course, it all comes at a price. We're essentially cottage industry, a niche market, and we're quite premium compared to what you can get in the market. However, if you build a machine yourself, you can fix it yourself, and you're going to have it for life. And you're going to take some pride in thinking that you built this machine, and damn, that sounds great. It's a different scene to the average street synthesizer buyer, but once you go down that rabbit hole, you suddenly realize that it's not just synthesizers. You can buy outboard gear, compressors, equalizers, and you can build them yourself. It's so wonderful. It's a rabbit hole, Pandora's box, if you like.
So let's have a little look at your Instagram page, and I think there was that video. Mouse is gone. Come back, mouse. Technical problems today.
If you can play it. Maybe you can play it. I don't know.
I don't know if it's going to work.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's going through the spring reverb and the TTSH. And a Re 606. You can hear that liquidy sound of the 101. I mean, I don't think the Behringer quite gets as musical as this, to be honest. Those things, I mean, really, we're just reproducing what Roland made 30, 40 years ago.
It's more rounded, isn't it? Just the waveforms sound more rounded,
But that is basically that 101 has been sitting in a cupboard with no motherboard on it for a long time. It's been basically spare parts, and it's just got round to doing it.
Yeah. All right, that's that video. And also, you've got your Re 303 web shop, which has been up for a while, and obviously this is where you can get some of the gear. So, there's things for sale now on there.
Well, that's basically all the stuff that we sell. Yeah, it's the 909 kit. And you've got the Taylor home bundle, which is basically a 606 and a 303 together to save some money. You've got the Pixie. You've got the Gilbert. The Gilbert is running out. We're not going to phase it out, but it's kind of an old product now. It hasn't. It's starting to reach the end of its life, but we're going to keep it there because. Once it's just essentially the Gilbert is essentially an SH09 with a SEM oscillator, because you can't. The original one has the it's a U7 something. It's an impossible part to get, so we replaced it with a modern SEM. But essentially, it's a SH09 clone.
Yeah.
Other than that,
so if you get let's say we get the Roswell bundle, which is a 606, right? Does it come with it's just basically what you see in the photo, right? Does it come with a case, or do you have to source your own case?
No.
Or what's the story
all
there?
The cases you get from Computronics in Austria. That's the guy who does the building for us. They're our partners, essentially. So they make the cases, we sell the bundles. The cases, I think, I'm actually not sure. They're less than €100, but they're high quality aluminium with a nice rugged exotial screen print on them. They're not printed; they're actually printed into the anodized layer and stuff like that.
Yeah,
they're really high quality, made in Germany. The cases are produced in Germany, where we actually all our cases are done there. The 909 cases done there. We like that German engineering, over engineering, should we say?
So we'll grab that website up again. What was it called? Comptronics, was it?
Comptronics, KUMPtronics.com, and you'll see that they've got a lot of our stuff in there. They also have build services. Did you find it okay?
Yeah, it's just waiting for it to load. It's on a different internet connection, so it shouldn't affect our stream.
If you look at the DIY projects, I mean, that's basically their site. They will build any of our synths for you. They will build other synths for you as well. On request, they build all sorts of pieces, LXR, 303s. But there's the cases that they sell. And they also sell the knobs and the plastic parts for the 909, all these things.
So obviously they're in
all the
shop.
good stuff. Yeah. Like I say, they will build stuff for you as well, but they're essentially the only people we would recommend to build. If you need someone to build one for you, we totally recommend them because they pay attention to detail.
Fantastic. All right. That's really, really cool. Yeah, awesome. Now, so we're actually excited about these other things coming out. Now, I think there was one other one that I actually thought, well, what is this? And kind of interested in this one, the JP1. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, basically, that isn't a real product. It's a concept. We made 2 of them for Superbooth 2018, and the idea was to see if we could sell it to Roland or some other manufacturers. But they were a little bit lukewarm because basically the politics of Roland is they're interested in digital. They're not interested in analog. I mean, we can shout at them till we're blue in the face. They're not going to do it unless they have the idea themselves. So they're really not interested. But the idea was that we make it just to show where we were at with the idea. It's not finished. And of course, we've had this COVID stuff, which has kind of thrown the spanner in the works. And so it's become a back burner project. But I do think we will finish it at some point, or make a new version which fixes some of the problems we have with the prototype. There's some little things that we need to adjust, levels and features that aren't working as they should, or there's like some screen printing problems. But it sounds, as in the current version, it sounds really good. But it's literally a super monosynth, basically inspired by the Jupiter, obviously. But it's a monosynth version of the Jupiter 6.
It's basically a single voice Jupiter. That way to describe it? Yeah. Yeah, that's how I understood it. Yeah. Okay, cool. Fantastic. All right. Chatties. Wonder if Chatties have got any... Oh, can't see any of the Chatties there because everything's just gone haywire. That's fantastic. I'm going to have to fix that. We'll go back to this view. Chatties, while I fix that view, any questions for Paul? We will get on to the next segment, which is the main topic of the show, which is the studio hack stuff. But if you've got any questions for Paul, please chuck them our way and we'll sort that out in a sec. Now, while we're doing that, hopefully I don't crash this again. I've got a feeling my GPU is at 80%, so I don't know what the hell's going on there. Something weird, but we'll see what happens.
Windows updates.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's stupid. Like, the only thing that I've done new that's weird is but it's been like this since before Christmas. Is I've got 2 4K monitors running off the GPU, so it might be time for a new graphics card. That's probably all it is. All right, here we go. Here's the Chatties, and while we're at it, I'm sure you don't really care about seeing my face, but I'll fix that while you're at it. Any questions for Paul as they come in? Who is the other guest? That's Dean. We already introduced Dean. Were you not paying attention? Dean is there.
Can I ask Paul a question then?
Yeah. Let me just put Dean up first because Mac's just wondering who he is. He's one of our regulars, and we're going to find out a little bit more about him. Not too long. We're going to check out his new synth cave. All right, Andy, you got a question?
I'd just like to ask because I remember seeing the JP1 on Sonic State. You said Superbooth 2018. Blimey, is it that long ago? But I do remember seeing it. Really great idea. Love the idea. And then on was it yesterday? I mean, yesterday, Friday. Sonic State put up a Pro Mars video 5 minutes with the ProMars. So to what extent is the ProMars a one voice Jupiter 8, or is it significantly different?
I think it's closer
Jupiter
to call it a
4.
Jupiter 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've actually got one upstairs, but it's to be honest with you, I don't think the sound is that great. There's something about it. I mean, it's a nice synth, but it's big and it's clunky. But I think it's a one voice Jupiter 4, but it's not quite as nice as Jupiter 4 because you haven't got the arpeggiator and all those nice little pieces that come with it. But it's kind of hard to keep them serviced as well because they use a lot of these obsolete parts, really obsolete parts, in the oscillators and stuff. But the ProMars is great. But I would say if I was going to choose, I'd take a Jupiter 4 because a Jupiter 4 is just so much more.
Just quickly before it disappears off here, Wigoo had a little super chat that's just popped in. Thanks, Wigoo, for the beer money. Dear Roland, please spin off a Roland Classic sub company to do analog reissues. You great donkeys, Boom Shanker. Big thumbs up. So
I asked them.
This gentleman right here is going to be the head of that spin-off company. He's the man that knows it. That's what's going to happen.
Yes.
We're going to start a new movement. None of this chasing analog ghost crap. Hey,
we're doing it without them.
Do it without them. Yeah, stuff it. As long as you keep them in the loop, yeah, go for it. Yeah, well done, Paul. Good on you, mate. I hats off to you. Right, okay. Why don't we? While we're still waiting for questions for Paul, if there are any questions for Paul, make sure you highlight my name so that I see it. Otherwise, it's just like a wall of text in chat, and then I can ask it to Paul. We're going to move on to the next segment, which is the studio hack segment, which is kind of this segment. And we're going to start off with just a couple of basic things, I think. So, yeah, what I thought I'd sort of show first is just some photos that I sort of took around. Now, I couldn't find my Dymo labeling machine, so I thought I'd just grab a thing off the internet. This is a studio hack. Why? Because there are so many things that you should label in your studio. And I'll give you an example. The little wall wart power supplies that you get with all your gear. If you do not stick a label on that to say this belongs to my Novation Peak or my Behringer piece of shit, if you don't put it on there, you will not know when you chuck it in a box with all the other wall warts what the hell that belonged to, because manufacturers don't even sometimes tell you. So label all your power supplies. Yeah.
I think you should also label at the plug end as well.
Right. Okay.
Because if the bit you plug into the synthesizer, because if you've got 10 wall warts plugged in behind the desk and all these cables coming out, it's very easy to put one into the wrong one and blow something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Actually labeling the plug end is a really good idea.
Yeah. Very good point. Now we do have. So I'm going to go through some of my notes and then we're going to go through some others, but I'll quickly breeze through mine. One of the things I like, it's not really an IKEA hack, it's more just an IKEA product, is if you just really don't like cables going, especially power cables going all over your desk, these little baskets that drill underneath your desk, they're really, really good for hiding cables. And when you're actually standing up or looking down, I've got them throughout my studio here. I don't see any of my power cables. They're all tucked in underneath in these baskets. It's actually really, really, they're very cheap too. So they're from IKEA. I can't remember the name of that thing. I'll remember it. It starts with an S. It's weird. Speaking of IKEA, these things are also really, really cool. This is a photograph in my actual my closet, which is just in front of me behind these monitors. And I use these little material-based drawers that you can buy that fit into their modular shelving systems. And they're great for storing these little synth modules. Like there's one showing the Volkers, and they don't buckle or, they're actually pretty strong. As long as you don't put anything majorly heavy in there. So yeah, they're really good. Now, speaking of IKEA hacks, right? What you can see is right next to me. I actually took this photo today. So what you're looking at there is not the A10 Mini, but what's behind it. So there's a couple of bits of wood, and then there's a IKEA, what they call a laptop stand. There's a couple of different versions of these. So the first one I would show is, Let me go to me. These are quite big these ones here, right? So you can get these, and you can also get the white ones, which are a bit like probably about half the width. And you can hack these. You can drill into them. You can glue them. They're so handy, these things, and they're so cheap. And I've got probably about 20 of these in the studio. And that, like I said, that photo there is just a neat little hack. And I've got my. I would actually. What's a better way to do this? Instead of showing you this, I'll show it in real. So there, let's get out of this stupid view with my name tag. So you can actually see it there, and it's the Novation Peak is sitting on it. And why have I done it? So that I can tuck the cables of my A10 Mini underneath it. So that's just an example of a hack. Now I'll keep going.
They're really strong as well, aren't they?
They're pretty strong. So just so we don't get anyone getting angry in the chat, Mr. Mac did mention these, and he wanted to make sure that you all knew that he mentioned these, and apparently I ignored him. So anyway, it's funny. Now, Andy, you like this one. This is another studio hack. This is the shaving brush. Why is the shaving brush so good? I don't know. It's just me, and I thought this is a great little duster because it can get into all the little sliders and pots, and it does a really good job of getting rid of dust. So if you haven't got a shaving brush, you should get one of those. They're pretty cheap, a couple of dollars, and they're in your studio. Okay, what else? These are all actual photos of my studio space. So these are monitor stands.
Looks like you need to use your bloody brush on that keyboard, Rans. That's minging.
It's just a light. I dust it all the time, don't worry. That's Australia, mate. Australia. Gets very dusty here. Crikey. Right, now, monitor stands, okay? I use them all the time. This is a Kensington brand monitor stand, and you can get these all over the world. They are really good for lifting gear up, and you can slide stuff underneath. So you can see I've got my keyboard and my mixer underneath that. And that is literally...
The monitor has a screen, right?
I don't put screens on them, no. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, when you say monitor stand, you mean it's a computer monitor rather than
computer monitor. Yeah, exactly. So you usually buy those at those sort of office supply type companies, you know, the big warehousey type ones. I cannot tell you how useful these laptop stands are. They are very useful. In fact, my studio was supported on these for many years. And if you go back to look at some of my older videos, you'll see that I've actually had planks of wood traversing across these laptop stands, and that creates a tier situation. So these are really old. They've stood the test of time. Now, if you're wondering where to get these from, I guess you call them DJ laptop stands. So they're sort of the music industry equivalent of a laptop stand. I wouldn't trust like the computer shop one, but yeah, they're pretty strong, these ones. And there's a few brands out there, like Odie USA is a good one. And what else?
16 quid at Gear for Music.
There you go. I thoroughly recommend one of these. They're just a plastic tub, and you can chuck your cables in. And what else do you do with your cables? Your cable time. And what do you cable time with? You cable time with Velcro. Velcro is very handy. So there's another tip. These are just real basic things, guys. Nothing to write home about. And if you got into Eurorack, I do think these are pretty cool, these things. They're called Nurleys. Why they're cool? Because you don't have to use a screwdriver to get your bloody modules out and move them around. I think it's a great little invention, these Nurleys. Now, I don't know if there's anyone else that makes these, but a big sort of big plug for Bafako there. They make some pretty cool stuff. So, yeah. Now, that's I think that's pretty much all I'm sort of really going to show you. But there's a couple other things I'll mention too. Snakes, and when I'm talking about snakes, I'm talking about their cables, and inside them is multiple audio like a snake. And then plugging those into patch bays, and then patch bays are like rack-mounted patch bays, and then plugging that snake into the back of your mixer. And that way you don't have to get your mixer out and pull it out and get to the back of it. You can just use a patch bay. So patch bays and snakes are your friend. What else did I mention?
I'd say about snakes, make sure you get high quality ones. If you buy the cheap ones, they're going to break. And I say that from experience.
Yeah, try and get some reasonable.
True.
The foam ones are terrible.
All right, enough about my crap. Let's go into some of the user submissions, and we'll start with Dean. Dean, I'm just going to bring you up, and over your lovely studio that you've got there, I'm going to superimpose some pictures, which you've nice of you to send in. Now, what's interesting about Dean is he's just recently built this lovely space that he's sitting in, and he's going to tell us all about it. So, Dean, how about I work the pictures and you do the talking? How about we do that? Let's go.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, this was the foundation when I first just was a garden, and the house had got so full up with equipment there. Even my breakfast bar had equipment on it, and so we built this foundation to start, and and we've got a nice space. It's 4.5 by 5 meters. So
decent size.
That was that part, yeah. And so working into the night, I was obsessionally constantly out there, and it was nice breeze block. We just got one single skin to start with from that point.
So did you put the bricks in yourself?
No, I had a friend. He's about 3 doors up from me, a builder. So he's done the brickwork and everything like that, and we did the foundation together. Yeah.
Fantastic! Wow. So building up, you got some interesting internals there.
Yeah, it was the builder actually did the roof, and he put the main struts in the ceiling, and then I kind of put up helped with the wood on the internal of the walls to start giving gaps for like Celotex and insulations.
Fantastic. So you're a bit of a carpenter there.
Yeah, well, just a saw.
Fair enough.
a few bent bits of wood here and there.
It looks beautiful to me. All right, and then I guess kind of finished product. We got your front door to your studio. Doesn't that look nice?
Yeah, it's great actually. The front doors walking down the road, and I got it for £70 because it was a window fitter, and I asked them if they could get me a door, so that was quite nice. And the electrics is really good in the actual whole building. I've got a lot of electrics. I've even got plug sockets on the outside. There's 20 plug sockets inside, so it's quite.
Wow.
That's lucky.
Well, let's have a look inside. So this is going through your front door, and so you've got nice wood paneling in there now.
Yeah, got some nice cladding on there. In between there, I did Celotex, kind of big, thick, kind of solid insulation, and then also caulked every gap I could. And in the ceiling as well, it's double insulated with kind of a more woolen insulation on top of the Celotex, and then a nice Velux window. Got 2 of those in here, so and then the lighting is really nice now.
Yeah, and also the skylight, which is handy because it gets the light in during the day. Yeah, nice touch. Tell us a little bit about these shelves that you've got here. What are they made of? And yeah.
Well, what I've got is it used to be called Spur shelving. When I was 18 years old, I actually worked in the actual pressing factory, which was in Watford, and it's just a big single 2 brackets that you can actually clip. You buy the clip brackets of different lengths, and then you can just clip them in at any height. So a new synthesizer comes in and goes out. I'm not limited by having to take it off the wall, take the brackets off the wall. I can just slot in. And a little hack that I use is a raw plug and a screw, because the shelf, obviously my keyboards you see are all at angles, so they would just slip off. So there's a little hole in the bracket which you're meant to screw into the wood shelving, but I actually put a long screw and a raw plug, and I put it on the end, which gives it a buffer to stop it, falling off. So there's a hack: a raw plug and a screw. Beautiful.
So looking here, you've got a couple of vintage synths. You've got an SH101 and a few other vintage ones here. Now, over on the right, are they the Odysseys that you got there? Are any of those vintage, or are they kind of the newer ones? It's an axe, is it?
I've got the original axe there, and
beautiful.
The Odyssey, it's the Korg.
The Korg Odyssey,
I've got the CZ101 on the right there, which is
fantastic.
a Casio, and then Poly 6.
And the Poly 6 as well.
And a 6-track, an SH2 Roland.
Yep.
And then a controller Akai.
Now that controller, I talked about that. I wish Akai still made that, because that's actually a controller that has CV on it. that they made
Yeah.
ages ago.
Yeah.
That's probably getting back 15 years ago they made that. So yeah. Interesting.
What's
All right,
great? What's great about it is the sliders, and you can actually have Unify. I use Unify, and you've got that touch. Touch it and control all the controls.
Yeah.
CC.
They should reintroduce it. It's a good control. Very good quality as well. Nice view from here. You got Juno 106, JP. Is it JP 8000?
Yeah.
Yep.
DeepMind.
DeepMind. Yep. Good old
And
microchord.
then so a couple of the old Casios there that I've got, and then the DX7, and it's I can't remember. I have to look up here. Yeah, it's keyboard. That's the one up above the DX7, which was really funny because I actually, when I was younger, I think I was only about 18. I went in the shop and I saw the DX7 sitting there, and they was like, "It was the last one to sell," and I couldn't afford it. They had the new SY2 coming. And I was really gutted after when I realised how good the DX7 was. So eventually I got the 7.
And we can see obviously this is real because you're sitting in front of it right now. And you'll notice just behind you you've got a mini Moog on the right or on your left, and you've got is it a Matrix Brute or is it a Poly Brute?
Yeah, that's the Matrix Brute, and then I've got just here I've got the Prophet 10.
Oh, nice!
It's beautiful.
Yeah, we'll have to ask you about that in a minute.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful stuff. Now, I think there's a couple more photos, some more synths there.
Yeah.
M1.
M1.
PZ1.
Yeah. Yeah, Casio FZ1.
D50.
Got a great sampler there. Yeah, D50. And
what's above that?
Above that is a Yamaha and a Speaker Maths. Well, you see, it's just a little Yamaha PS. Let me have a look. PSS50. Just a little porter sound. I use them funny little sounds for sampling to create contrast against the great machines. It's like they really stand out.
And then you've got a Yamaha. What was it called again? The something tone.
Electone.
Electone.
Yeah, the Electone. It's the kind of thing. The specials we're using, back in the day with the Scar stuff. It's got, it's great for that kind of organ, Pink Floydy, specials kind of, Scar stuff.
I like
Space
it.
Echo.
I like it.
Underneath, and my recent acquirement, the 2600.
Yeah. Nice. Very good.
Looks nice.
Okay. All right. So thanks, Dean, for sharing that with us. And I guess now that you've done you've made your studio, and you're kind of starting to get to the sort of point where you're just sort of finishing wiring it up and everything. Have you got any tips to anyone who's watching about building a studio and anything to sort of, or what you sort of learnt from it?
I think what I've learned is definitely to take time. Is to take a lot of time in like planning it and try it. If I'd rather, I've taken time to actually money-wise to think, let's get this right, because I don't want to kind of look back and go, if I'd have just waited another month or 2 months to, spend that money, like the wooden cladding, the builder was just kind of saying to me, don't worry about it, that'll do. It just take time, with everything. And I was planning the keyboard setup. I basically got all my main machines and my analogs near the main TV there, which is where the laptop is, and and having my ultimate machines near me, and there's all the digital machines because I much prefer my analog on the back wall, So I kind of took a long time to plan it, but not having it set in stone. I kind of like had a rough idea, analog there, main machines, digital at the back, and as I've let it evolve. So I still haven't decided where my rack stuff's going, like my Akai samplers and some Behringer stuff and FX units. So it's still evolving,
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's really, really cool.
What about a mixer? What are you doing for mixing?
Yeah, the mixer, funny enough, is still up in the house at the moment. I've got 2-3 mixers sitting up there as a Soundmaster, an old Soundmaster analog, 24. And so it be coming down, which will be where the Matrix Brute is at the moment. It's still got, there's a bit of the units that aren't finished yet. The kitchen tops basically is what they are. So I'm waiting for the builder to come round, which hopefully is tomorrow. I'm going to finish that off, then I can do another big move.
So are you going to use snakes and patch bays? Is that what you're going to do with that?
Yeah, definitely the patch bays. I totally recommend. That's the way to go with the patch bays. It's so much easier, like saying, having to drag the equipment out, and just being able to just source, push everything through to an FX unit, and without having to uncable everything is just a nightmare.
Any particular brand that you would recommend?
I haven't quite decided yet. I'm thinking like, even with Behringer, I spoke to my friend's studio engineer and stuff, and he was like, kind of, he's just doing a job. They've got good internal stuff, but I'm going to keep reviewing what's going on. I'd rather wait my time and get something, that I know is good. And I think the important part is not to run on my own like self-will with any of this. I reach out to people, when I don't know something and I'm not sure, and just ask and say, what should I do? And I do an opinion poll. It's pretty much like that. I talk to a few people, and if they all say this, I'm like, I'll go with that.
Yeah, fantastic. One thing I will say is I've got a Behringer patch bay, and the little rings around where you plug your your 1/4 inch jacks have fallen off. So I can tell you already, stay away from the Behringer ones.
I think you can get Neuschutz ones pretty cheap at the moment.
There's lots better out there.
I've got
thanks.
I've got Behringer ones, but these are getting on a bit now, and I've got 3 altogether. 2 of them are fine, but one of them starts to have issues with the jacks in. The good thing about them is I like the way you can change whether you're going series power, how you're running the jacks in. That's a good idea. So I'm 50-50 on the Behringers. The other 2 have been fine, and I've had them for years, and I've not had any issues with them. Brilliant. But one of them has been a bit iffy. So yeah, I'd say 50-50 on the Behringers.
Yeah, they're not the only ones that do that.
Darren. Exactly that one.
Sorry?
That's exactly, Darren, the actual one I was looking at to actually buy. Yeah, that one you just showed us there, Darren.
Yeah, the one with where you can, the Pro, let's see if we can get it.
Yeah, mine's called it. Yeah, mine's exactly the same as that. I just had a look.
Yeah.
Mine's just down
Otherwise, you have to take them apart and turn them around manually.
Yeah. That would be annoying.
So like I say, the other 2 I've had for years, and I've had no issues with them whatsoever. But like I say, one of them has been giving me jip, so that 50-50.
That's the thing with them. They're a bit unpredictable. You might have one that lasts you forever, and you might get another one that just falls apart. We got to keep going because I've got more. This one came in from megamarkd, who's actually in the chat, and it's basically his couple of points here. You can see on the right his homemade stand. There's a Bitstream 3X and the BeatStep Pro are both sitting on a rubbery lattice stuff. Now that rubbery lattice stuff you can buy in. I think the place I saw it was kind of like a cooking section where people put their chopping boards on top of it. Stop your chopping board from slipping all over you. Yeah, I think IKEA might do them as well. That's actually a good point. So that rubbery lattice stuff is good to stop your gear from slipping off. Obviously little edges on it as well are also good. Stop it from falling off completely. The first 19-inch rack he made himself from a couple of pieces of MDF and screwed straight into the ends of them. So, you don't have to go and buy expensive metal rack cabinets. You can just make it out of wood. Or MDF, not even real wood.
Or if you're taking the greenhouse down. That's a great tip if you're taking the greenhouse down.
Yeah. So this is another photo that he sent in here. This one is showing the use of the laptop stands that I was showing before. So you can actually, some of the brands, you can actually tier them together. And so you can create multiple tiers, which is pretty handy. He also mentioned for labels for cables, that if Dymo machines are a little bit pricey, they're not that bad, but if they are, you can go to a newsagent or like a stationery store and just buy a box of paper labels and make sure you label all your cables going into your mixer, and so you know what everything is, so that way you don't have to worry about where they're going to. And he also recommends doing a MIDI flowchart. So if you've got some sort of flowchart software, do a MIDI flowchart, because you know, if you've got a lot of stuff like what Dean's got there, he's definitely going to need to do some sort of, have some sort of record about what MIDI channel each synth is going to be on. I mean, obviously a nice way to do that would be using one of those Mio XL type things, but if you don't have that, you've got the old-fashioned MIDI through sort of setup, a flowchart is good. So there you go. Okay, that's thanks from megamarkd. Now I've got a studio tour from Eddie, so let's get that teed up. Now get my mouse to work again on this Mac. So maximize that, and I just don't want this thing to crash. I feel like if I'm going to touch it, it's going to crash on me. Here we go. There's Eddie.
Hello everybody, welcome to my humble home studio. Nothing really to write home about, nothing that you haven't seen before, except for these three little things I find very interesting. First of all, my MIDI USB, not a very well-known brand, called ESI M8UEX. What makes this one special? Basically, it's a 3-in-1. It's a 16-channel configurable in or out, means that every single plug could be set as an in or an out, also throughs. It's a 3 USB ports hub powered, and it also could work standalone without a computer in either 15:1 merge mode or 1:15 split mode, or also 1:1 port mode. Very neat one, not that expensive, a very good solution for many studios. The next one is a little more hidden in there. I'll just try to put a better picture for that.
Yep, the UX.
Second.
Yep.
Another USB interface, this one with the characteristic of the TG ports, which is a standard that Apple and Yamaha tried to establish back in the day, which makes this 6-in/6 out MIDI interface expand to 8-in, 16 out, equivalent to all those cables in just 2 connectors, one on the front, one on the back. Very neat trick. And last, just this little gadget here, which I found out by accident. I got it on a very good deal, and it's really interesting. Basically, it's a controller that substitute on a physical way the fader controls of the track you're dealing with. You can swap tracks, motorized fader, and controls for many parameters within the track and or within the
Go get yours, Darren.
the presets or inserts even, and with more parameters you could configure per project. And that's basically it. All the rest pretty normal. Some old synths, patch base, analog mixer, big TV screen, because screen space is very expensive, and that's the cheapest way I found to get this amount of pixels. And the little hack to get the extra screen space within the very little desktop space. Thank you very much. Bye.
Nice. That's really good. Thanks, Eddie, for doing that. Eddie's gone to a lot of trouble to do that video just for this show. So really big thank you, Eddie, for doing that. And that's for you guys. This, you know, he wanted to share with you his actually really cool. But that definitely the big screen is a good idea. And I've got 27-inch monitors here, so I'm fat and happy with 3 of them sitting in front of me, and I'm probably getting some sort of radiation poisoning, no doubt. But yeah, that's really good. Fader port, yeah. Wasn't that Darren's most useless product?
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Eddie's going to have words with you now, Darren.
I like the idea of it. You don't have to use the mouse. I mean, I hate using mice in the studio.
Yeah.
Just fuck that shit off.
It is really good. All right, we've got Ian who's Offworld Network. I don't know if he's in the chat. He's usually in there. If you're in the chat, mate, say good day.
Yeah.
He's
in the chat.
Good. He's sent in a whole bunch of pics. Yeah. Now this is his custom stand, and you'll see what it's for in a sec. But he's showing a couple of progressions as he's made this. It's really cool. And the fact that he's able to come up with this on his own, I think it's really cool. So he's building it, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
And then finished job. Isn't that beautiful? That's a thing of beauty. Stop it, Paul. Stop
I need
it.
to order them.
I think a lot of people are going to be asking Ian for his measurements and plans for that, because that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Darren?
That was sort of how I built the studio originally. When you used to be able to see my studio, that's more or less how it was all built up. Also, these from IKEA, which is just basically
the shelves. Yeah.
Yeah, the shelving brackets. I think they're about £2-3. So basically, the studio I had before was built on these. They're actually built on these, and these are built like a tank. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Easy to drill into, a pain to cut, because it's like a composite stuff. So cutting it is not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
So you cut these ends off. You've got a perfect angle, and you can build up on. Like I said, I had all the studio basically built with these. On the old studio, let's put it that way. No more though.
I haven't finished with Ian's stuff. There's another one he's shown as well, and that's this IKEA hack. And I actually think he may have used something similar. But those laptop stands that I was showing before, and the little bracket. So he's screwed them into the bracket, and he's made like a little 2-tier drum machine stand. That's nice. I like that. It actually looks really quite neat.
Ramsey, there's one Sorry.
Yep.
Ramsey, there's one I remembered, which I always used to do. I've only just started to throw them away, which was the old TV stands. They were really great with the big old TVs where you had a low tier, an upper tier, then I'd put that on the shelf.
Yeah, they're a good one. Yeah, definitely. Now, hopefully this doesn't crash the show like it did last time. This was sent in by Mr. Mac. This is his sister's hack. I think this is awesome.
That's lovely.
Wish I had that as a toddler.
That is great.
Now
I want that cushion.
Is that the new Make Noise module?
Now she lives in Australia, so she must be. She's obviously she hasn't taught him enough about the right place in the world to live. But you can definitely tell us a little bit more about this, Mr. Mac, and tell us what the buttons and the knobs do, and whether you can actually plug it into a synth and actually if it works or not. That's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah, brilliant.
And when he comes back and says, yes, you can.
Dreadbolt Nick's there. Yeah.
Fantastic. Twin slot racking with adjustable 3-position sloping shelf brackets is cheap way of racking synths. Indeed it is, says Sasquatch in the chat. Max said he used to live in Australia. I knew that. I'm just egging you on. If you're wondering what we're talking about, these comments here that are flowing through, fantastic. Okay, so I think that's. I mean, I've got through most of the pictures that were submitted. I mean, it was awesome. So thanks to everyone who contributed to the hacks part of the show. Obviously, if we had more time, we'd show you more hacks. gentlemen who are here as in the video call of people, do you guys want to? I know Dean's had his go. What about Andy? Have you got any sort of suggestions?
Well, I am the world's least practical person. So the idea of actually sawing things and screwing things and gluing things, and I'm hopeless. I can't look at things and see how that works. Honestly, it's a major failing. So seeing what others have done is actually once I know what can be done, I'm sort of all right. So I mean, studio hacks in here is very limited, if I'm honest with you, because of that. I've got a set of drawers behind me, which I've got labelled up, which have all the different cables in, so I know what's what. Yes, I've labelled up all my cables. I did that using just basically electrical tape. Just cut a strip off, round it around the plug, and write on it. Just write on it, and don't need a machine to print it out. I can write on it. And I've done all that. I did the MIDI cable spreadsheet thing. I've done all that. And yeah, so little things that really make life easier. You've already mentioned the shaving brush, so I won't mention that one again. I'd noticed that whenever I put my cup down on these streams, it went boing. I think Chris Synthiant's got the same thing going on with his mic boom stand. So what I'd is, I'm sorry, I'm going to do this now. This is slightly, but sod it, I'm doing it nonetheless. Pants, which I haven't worn in probably 30 years, that were sitting at the bottom of a cupboard, because I've got a thing about chucking stuff away. Ever since my mum said something about, you can never have too many pairs of pants. So I didn't have enough spare socks, but so an old spare pair of pants, right, like them, which and shoved into the springs like this, right?
Have they got skiddies on?
Oh, I've no idea. But in they go into the springs, and now it doesn't go boing. They've been. Honestly, I use all these things as just dusters and cleaning cloths. So well, they were just sitting in the bottom of a cupboard for years. So I just thought, right, sod it. I ain't got enough socks to spare, so I'm going to use all these old pants.
I don't know if I'm going to
mute my springs with that. So there you go.
Andy and his wife runs.
I can't remember the last. Honestly, good. My mother probably bought me them when I was at school. I've had them. Honestly, so that spring muting with old cloths. That's my contribution to this studio hack.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Use them as a coronavirus mask, possibly.
I reckon if you walked into a supermarket with that around your face,
put them over
people
my
would
head.
be wide berthing you.
Get on the plane,
that's
dear,
insane.
dear.
That's brilliant.
And
That's brilliant.
Andy flashing his Y fronts to the world. Whatever next.
Make sure you got a label on them so you don't lose them, then so they're yours.
Silly bugger. I'm sorry. I'll apologise now for lowering the tone.
One of the things I've been doing recently, guys, is I'm just trying to change the topic slightly. This was the little hutch that I actually built before, and so there's an IKEA shelf on top that I've butchered, and I've put plastic L strips to stop synths from falling down. And I could probably zoom up a little bit for you so you can see that. So you can see there's the IKEA shelf there, and they're just bits of pine. And what I did on 2 or 3 days ago is I mounted that 27-inch screen to the back of it, just getting a little TV wall mount thing, and you can actually tilt the monitor left, right, and it can actually come out. I use that monitor for soldering, you can see the little camera there. That's my little microscope camera that I use for soldering. So little jobs there. So that was kind of little handy sort of thing that I did. That's also pretty handy too if you've got like your DAW, you could have that on there and have that sort of maybe doing VDJ sort of stuff as well on there, that, you know, behind all your gear. That might be a nice little sort of a thing. I mean, those screens are so cheap now. You know, what are they, 100 quid for a decent size computer monitor? They're pretty cheap. And you can just feed any sort of image into it, you know, through HDMI or whatever. So yeah, I like that. So it's still getting use out of that that little sort of hutch that it used to be just here, and you know, these things change. All right, over the chatties. Any questions? I don't know if there was any questions for Paul. I didn't see them pop up. Let me just have a quick look. If you have any questions for Paul, because you've got him here, you might as well ask him. If you're thinking about getting any of the DINSync stuff, this is the time to ask, that's for sure. Don't think I saw any. If I did miss it, it's because you didn't highlight my name. So make sure you do ask a question for Paul before we go, because we're going to wrap up the show in the next few minutes. Darren, what about you? I mean, you've shown a couple of things. Have you got any other tips that you want to, because you're going through that right now. You're going through building your studio space right now. Would you recommend putting a blue sheet above all your gear all the time? Just leave it permanently there? Is that what you do?
Yes. That way no one can see what a mesh you're making, basically. Well, my studio's not quite as good as Dean's, but I'm having to work in a 6.5 foot by 6.5 foot space. Well, actually, you've got minus the desk in front of that, so mine will be all sort of designed to fit in the smaller spaces. But I will definitely say, at minimum, I think we've all said this, at minimum, label both ends of any cable that go out of sight. So if it disappears behind a desk or behind a rack or anything, make sure you label it at both ends with permanent marker as well, so it doesn't rub off when you come to, because you can guarantee you'll be taking it down at some point and then just not know where. And if it's like my studio space is so small, everything I'm building, I can't build it outside and bring it in because it won't fit through the door. But on the other hand, I can't build it in the studio because it's so small. So I'm having to come up with quite interesting ideas. So I'm having to build half outside to get it through the door, build the other half outside, and then try to fit it together and then maneuver it in this small space. So yeah, that's quite interesting when it's done. So, but that's my main tip, is just label everything, both ends, because you'll come to regret it if you don't at some point.
Definitely.
Might not be at first, but at some point you'll come to regret not labeling something.
Now, we had a couple of questions in
Also,
chat. Let me quickly get to those because they'll scroll off. Dean, did you apply for planning? I'm guessing you did. Says Watch. And Oleg, who's Grey Wolf 2004 RU, says, I wonder if those keyboard stands, I think he's referring to Dean's studio, where it's almost vertical, are comfortable to play. So maybe they're both for Dean. Let me hit to Dean. Planning permission and keyboard stands, are they comfortable to play?
Yeah. I went to, I'm in a council property, and at the end of my garden, I had to apply for planning, that I could have, a building at the end of my garden, that I basically just had to let them know the dimensions, what I was building it out of, and that was all A-okay. And as for the synthesizers on the wall, the way I kind of use them is the majority of the time it's used by a master keyboard, and I'm going around basically setting up sounds, and just using the knobs on them. But they do get played, and I think I just kind of get used to it in the end,
While we got you there too, there is a question for Paul. I'll grab that in a sec. But while we got you there, Axel Soft's just asked, are there any issues with insurance of your gear if it's in an external studio?
No, I've got a whole cover for my whole property, and so it's good to get hold of the insurance company and find the right one and make sure it's okay. Just one little hack that's a good idea. We're talking, about labels, is what I found, because I've got really bad eyesight and I don't like wearing my glasses a lot unless I have to, is on the back of most equipment. You can't see MIDI in, out and through. And so I put labels on the
yes.
back of my equipment to reach over. So it's so easy just to, when I want to relink everything up. That's another idea.
Yeah, I use a phone, and you can use the camera on the phone. So you stick your phone behind, and you turn the camera to the facing camera, so you can actually see the screen, and it's looking behind the synth. I use that a lot because it's got a light on it and stuff. Paul, question for you: are there any exclusives that you would like to share with us that DINSync haven't told the world about yet? Any goss? Any exclusives?
Juno 106.
Oh, a man after my heart. A man after my heart. Yes, please.
But just wait, because we're so at the start of that. But yeah, it's coming.
Make the chorus so that it can take an external. I know it's slightly modifying. But just do that. That's all. Just do that.
I wanted to. Can I just give you a studio tip that most people miss? Sound treatment in your room is so important. And you can actually do it on the cheap. If you go down to your hardware store, buy some rock wall insulation, go to IKEA, buy some fabric and some fabric glue. You can just literally fold the fabric over the rectangles of rock wool, stick it on your wall, and give yourself a nice, gets rid of all the early reflections. Forget boxes, just rock wool. It's cheap as chips, and you can actually, I've done my whole studio in it, it's great. And you really can't underestimate how good a good listening room is for your recording. And have your speakers all
very good
maybe
point.
1.5 meters on the wall, so you don't get bass extension, and some nice heavy materials in the corners for bass traps.
Yeah, like some curtains or something. Yeah.
Well, anything really that just suck up those low frequencies. But if you stand in the middle of your studio and just clap your hands, if you can hear any ringing, you need some work. And if you can spend maybe, I don't know, 100 quid to do a whole. I did one. It's cheap. It makes such a difference.
That's a really good tip.
So
fantastic.
It needs to be done.
The frames, make wooden frames in the corners and fill it with loft insulation and stuff like that. I suppose with material.
I mean, you can do it with. You can actually build frames for the panels. You make your own panels, but you don't actually have to build a frame. You can just wrap it in cloth. You just don't want to get that stuff on your fingers because it's a bit itchy. If you want to kind of have it closed in, but it will basically improve your listening room. I don't know how much, but quite exponentially. It's really make a big difference.
Yeah. We didn't talk much about lighting. I know that's something that probably should have come up in this, and I know I for example use those LED strips that you can, the Chinese type ones, which you can change colors in them and stuff like that. I always find that if you get ones that are on a roll, you can actually cut them to size, and they're usually kind of quite easy to stick wires in and stuff and make them work for you. And they usually have a little bit of adhesive on them as well. Sometimes, depending on the quality of where you buy it from, the adhesive's not so good. So double-sided tape, as well as the adhesive, it usually stays there for forever. Now, I don't know if this is actually going to show up on here, but you can. You can see it. So you can see that little bit of LED just underneath the lip, the white lip, and that lights up all of that area really well. Like it's I don't need another light going in there. So that's those little LED strips are so cheap. Yeah, you can do the IKEA ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got.
Can I mention that one? Because I got these at IKEA. These were 12. This was 12 quid. 12 quid on a little clip, so you can clamp it to things, and it's a gooseneck, so you can bend it around into all sorts of different sort of shapes, and it's really handy. I've got 3 of these, and I dig them out and stick them and clamp them on things and light it. These are great. I love these. Can't get too many of them.
Fantastic.
And only 12 quid from IKEA. Well, it's brilliant, IKEA. Isn't it?
IKEA, if you're watching, send me the check.
The best store. IKEA chair, I think.
Definitely not an IKEA chair. By the way, I don't recommend this brand, this chair. It peels. It's one of those those things that peel after a while. Can't stand that stuff.
No.
So yeah. Anyway, I mean, obviously I've mentioned so many things, and we could go on and on and on and on. But I did mention this in one of my mailbag videos recently, and that's these things. These are called Small Rig. They're a company that you can find on Amazon, and they make these clamps. And there's all sorts of different ones. Manfrotto make good clamps as well, but they're a lot more pricey. But just for rigging stuff, you know, that you need to clamp, like these will take a Zoom recorder on, just straight onto that little camera mount there. Really, really good if you just want to chuck a Zoom recorder onto a shelf or onto the side of your desk or something, and you want to be able to have it so that it's pointing in a direction you can control that. Sorry, what was that, Dean? Dean was talking to someone else, I think. So yeah, small rig clamps are good. I think that's probably about it for the show, guys. Anyone in the chat, if you've got anything else to add, now be the time to do that, because we're probably going to wrap it up. Most people have been on air now for a couple of hours, so I think, you know, we're starting to look a bit weary.
I've got something I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
In regards to the 202 and the 101, we'll be closely working with Toputech. They've replacement CPUs for the 101 already, and they're working on one for the MC202 as well. So we'll be using those in our products. Just give Toby a little plug there. Toputech in Germany.
Paul, could you remake a System 100? Could you do that?
Yes. Yeah, you need to send us one so we can take it apart.
I know, that's what I want someone to do to me. Just send me one. I promise I'll be nice.
Well, I mean, really, honestly, if you do stuff from without the original machine, you don't have 100% reference, because a lot of those old service manuals are not completely, but there's lots of mistakes in them. Or they've been written before they've made revisions, so you really need the original machine. So if you want one, send me one.
Fair enough. This would be a major undertaking, because there's a lot of modules in that. ASIO Heads just said that he wants us to stay on for longer because he's had a shitty and boring day. Well, you can just watch this show again. That'll give you another 2 hours. Just rewatch it. That's something you could do. And don't forget, you've got Sonic State on Wednesday night. You've got Pro Synth Network now on Friday. You've got me Saturday, and you've got Jamie on GeoSynths on Sunday. And there's a whole bunch of other people that are doing stuff as well in between all that. So I know that Native VS is doing his little thing, and there's Gaz Williams doing his stuff, and so there's a whole bunch of people doing stuff. So I think there should be enough stuff for you to watch. And if not, then Netflix always works. You always go on the Netflix. I mean, who's been balking the Netflix for the last year? I think that I've just about watched every single show that's of interest.
Wagyu, keep FFSing.
Yeah, Eduardo or Eddie says keep FF #FFS. Yeah, I can't even say it now. It's getting late over here. Keep FFSing, doing your Field of Sweep videos, fight the fight. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today. Don't forget to give a thumbs up, not just for me and my show, but for the guests that were on it, because these people volunteer their time. You've got Darren, he's been on the show for years. You've got Andy, who's been on the show for at least a year. Paul's first time, but it's been awesome to have Paul. Paul, you're welcome to come back. Love having the nerdy sort of insight. And also Dean as well. Love having you on. We definitely want these two gentlemen, Paul and Dean, back, because we want to find out more about some of the gear that they've got and pick their brains a bit more. Now, I know Andy's going to have a break for a couple of weeks, so there's a spot, take Andy's spot if you want to jump on. And if you do want to come on to the show, you just reach out to me through the socials, which are on my channel. Parting, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to put Darren on first. He can say his little farewell message.
Goodbye to all. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next week.
Fantastic.
And hopefully I can come to the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great fun. I want to come back already.
Good. Awesome. We'd love to have you back, mate. Dean.
Only if he makes us.
Farewell message from you.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. It's great being with you guys and everybody in all the chatties. It's been really great to share like experience and watch, get experience and learn myself. That's what it's about, and definitely would love to come back and be, coming back sharing my stuff and experience.
Enjoyed watching your studio thing. That was awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us, mate. We definitely all enjoyed that. And last but not least, Andy.
Yeah, thanks to everyone for your FFS. It's been brilliant. Thanks to the new guys. That's been really great. Really enjoyed that a load. So all this interesting stuff that Paul's doing, watching Dean's studio build, and the fact that he's not the only one wearing Sergio Tacchini anymore. That was quite cool as well. Thanks very much.
Good man.
I've got a bundle of these T-shirts in a drawer. I'll say no more about that because I've already given away far too much. I might even have a little. We should, yeah. Sponsorship. I'm going to try and get the video upload. No, Darren. I think there were probably some that my mother bought from Marks and Spencer's when I was 13. Honestly, they're that old. Anyway, so I might even have a video uploaded tomorrow. Oh my God, can you believe that? I don't think the video will be up to much. So, but watch this space if technology allows. So yeah.
To watch his video tomorrow.
Is what, sorry?
Azio Head's looking for videos to watch. You can watch Andy's.
Oh, yeah, 5 or 6 minutes or something like that. It's just going to be a little jam. Been doing some stuff. It's in relation to Inky and to Synth Addict, who've been. I've got to get something up with the MPC, and Inky wants something techno, so I thought I'll combine the two. So hopefully that will be up and running tomorrow. Can't say what time. It all depends when I get schoolwork finished.
Fantastic. Well, as I say every week, have a nice rest for the rest of your weekend. Be nice to your mum. Say hi to her from me, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.